Prince Charles dubbed it, didn't he, the last chance saloon to save the planet. Boris Johnson suggested it was 1 minute to midnight. But after 10 days filled with pledges, protests, panel events, did COP26 live up to expectations? For their reaction, let's bring in my Friday panel from Sydney. Host of Outsiders, editor extraordinaire of The Spectator, Rowan Dean, and also from Sydney, social commentator Prue MacSween. Thank you, Rowan. I couldn't close off COP26 without having you, be the absolute bookend at the end and wrap it up for us. If China's so committed to reducing its emissions, why did the president skip this summit? I know there's a lot of talk today about this so-called new special deal, US and China, but it's all just motherhood stuff.
And first of all, Peter, just let me say, and I'm sure Prue will join me, congratulations on your Kennedy Award. That's just outstanding, and what a great job you did. So full marks there, Peter.
Now, back to business.
COP26, COP26, I'd like to quote one of the leading experts on climate change in the world, someone I look to all the time, an expert sans pareil, a great intellectual, a great academic, and that is, of course, Greta Thunberg, who described COP26 as blah, 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 blah. And that's pretty much what it was. And we got more of the online blah, blah, blah today with this so-called China-US deal, which someone knocked out on a computer overnight because back in Beijing, they are laughing themselves silly watching Glasgow. And they thought, hey, let's have a bit of fun at the end. Let's just pretend we've done a deal with the States. That'll be a ripper. That'll get them all going. And sure enough, it set the hairs running. The whole point is, Peter, that COP26 ambitions to reach net zero, if the technology were there that could provide us with energy cheaply, affordably, safely, et cetera, don't you think that we would have seen it by now? I mean, they've been banging on about climate change since the 70s and 80s. Yes, we've got windmills, which are just as carbon intensive often to create as the carbon that they then might end up saving. We've got solar panels and other ideas, technologies which are very primitive technologies, which rely on the wind and the sun. If this great new technology is here, you would have thought we'd have seen it by now.
And they promised to phase out coal production. This is in the document, Prue. But at the same time, China's building 43 new coal-fired power stations. How does that add up?
And they never question about it. This is the whole thing. It's been allowed to get away with conning the world for so long, laughing at us as we de-industrialise and send ourselves down the toilet while they are opportunistically selling us solar panels with cheap labour, of course, making it affordable for them, and going on its merry way to make sure that they deliver power to their people. We are all fools. We have compromised ourselves. We are allowing to accommodate this cop-out, this swindle about carbon, CO2, and I just think it's really scary that we have, and appalling, and now we're going down this net zero track. We're all going to pay dearly for it, and we're all going to end up in a really compromised lifestyle, and we deserve it because we've all fallen for it.
Lemmings over a cliff, I think is the term. Interesting, Rowan, there's a lot of media focus about the comments from the French president and the reflection on the Australian Prime Minister. But I thought out of all of that sort of diplomatic brouhaha, the worst was the response of Joe Biden and the seeming way he threw Australia under the bus. He had his National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, doing a bit of a mop-up last night. Let's have a listen.
I mean this sincerely. I know it comes off as a sincere dodge, but a dodge nonetheless, is that I just think there's no profit in revisiting how we got to where we are. Where we are now, we've put out, in our view, a very strong and meaningful and substantive plan of action with the French on a range of issues, including relating to the Indo-Pacific, and we're digging in on the real work of AUKUS. And so where I sit today, the good news lies ahead.
So the current feature of this administration in the United States is Biden says something and everyone else then in the administration has to mop up, and it's happening time and time again.
Where's Greta Thunberg? Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. That's what it is.
This is a problem, Rowan, isn't it? It's a real problem.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Joe Biden, I mean, he's barely appears to be capable of understanding where he is, what he's supposed to be talking about, what the issues are. It's really terrifying, but it's a great lesson in how democracies, although democracies are capable of throwing up brilliant leaders of the Churchill, John Howard, etc., they're also capable of throwing up complete disasters, and the whole world has to live with us. Jake Sullivan's speech was all very nice to Australia, and we bet on you, and we're great buddies, and all of that. But Joe Biden was very quick. Joe Biden, first of all, didn't know who Scott Morrison was, that fella from down under, and then turned around and basically blamed him for running a clumsy deal and basically set up the whole premise that Scott Morrison was lying to the French. So that was Joe Biden's doing. I was also pretty unimpressed, just very quickly, with this Jake Sullivan suggesting that somehow Donald Trump had damaged relationships between Australia and the US in a kind of offhand way. Everything the Biden administration do, they think that they're trying to, they have to have a go at Trump, because we know, I reckon, Trump's on the way back.